Life often feels like a series of routines, distractions and obligations, leaving many of us questioning whether we are truly moving in the direction we desire. The key to profound change does not always lie in external circumstances, but rather in the questions we ask ourselves daily. When approached with intention, the right questions can act as catalysts for transformation, helping us uncover clarity, purpose, and action in every area of our lives. The first question to consider is, what is truly important to me? On the surface, this may seem simple, even obvious. Yet, the depth of self-reflection required to answer it honestly is often underestimated. Most people operate based on societal expectations, cultural norms, or the desires of those around them, rarely pausing to reflect on what resonates deeply within their own hearts. By asking this question, we begin to identify the values, passions, and priorities that genuinely define our purpose. It forces us to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, between fleeting desires and enduring goals. When consistently asked, this question becomes a compass, guiding daily decisions, relationships, career choices, and personal growth in a direction aligned with our true selves. The second transformative question is, what story am I telling myself? Our thoughts are powerful, but they are often wrapped in narratives we have unconsciously accepted over time. These narratives shape how we interpret experiences, respond to challenges, and define our potential. Many of us carry stories of limitation, inadequacy, or fear, often without realizing their influence on our actions. By consciously asking ourselves this question, we bring awareness to these self-limiting beliefs. We begin to identify the recurring patterns in our thinking that hold us back from growth, success, and fulfillment. The power of this question lies in its ability to create cognitive space, allowing us to choose which stories to keep and which ones to rewrite. Through this process, we gain the ability to reconstruct our self-perception, replacing doubt and negativity with empowerment, resilience, and confidence. In essence, it allows us to become the authors of our own lives rather than passive readers of a script written by external forces or past experiences. The third question, equally transformative, what action can I take right now that aligns with my purpose? Awareness without action is incomplete. Insight without implementation remains theoretical. This question forces the abstraction of self-reflection into tangible steps. It shifts the focus from overthinking, procrastination, or endless planning to intentional movement. By grounding ourselves in the present moment and identifying actionable steps, we transform potential into reality. These actions do not need to be monumental. Often, the smallest deliberate choices compound over time to create extraordinary outcomes. The discipline of asking this question regularly cultivates momentum, ensuring that growth, learning, and transformation are continuous rather than sporadic. It reinforces a sense of accountability, ownership, and personal empowerment, reminding us that we are not merely passengers in life but active participants shaping our own destinies. When combined, these three questions create a framework for life that is both introspective and action-oriented. They encourage us to consistently evaluate our priorities, challenge our internal narratives, and take deliberate steps aligned with our deeper purpose. They transform decision-making from reactive habits to conscious, values-driven choices. They enhance self-awareness, sharpen focus, and build resilience against distractions, doubts, and societal pressures. Over time, the practice of asking these questions fosters a life characterized by intentionality, fulfillment, and personal mastery. While many may seek external solutions for their challenges, the truth is that profound transformation always begins within. The answers to these three questions are not static. They evolve as we grow, learn, and encounter new experiences. What is important to us today may shift tomorrow. The stories we tell ourselves can be rewritten as we gain insight and perspective. The actions we choose now create the foundation for future possibilities. By embracing these questions as daily companions rather than occasional reflections, we cultivate a mindset that is flexible, empowered, and purpose-driven. Understanding what is truly important to us is not a one-time realization, but an evolving process that deepens with experience and self-awareness. As life progresses, responsibilities change, perspectives mature, and priorities shift. Many individuals struggle not because they lack ambition or ability, but because their daily actions are disconnected from their core values. When this disconnect persists, it manifests as dissatisfaction, burnout, and a constant sense of restlessness. By repeatedly asking what truly matters, we create an internal alignment that brings coherence to our lives. This alignment reduces inner conflict and strengthens decision-making, allowing us to invest our time and energy in pursuits that generate long-term fulfillment rather than temporary validation. Over time, this clarity becomes a stabilizing force, especially during uncertainty or adversity, enabling us to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. Equally important is recognizing how often external noise drowns out internal truth. Social media, cultural expectations, and comparison constantly redefine success for us, subtly pushing us toward goals that may not reflect our authentic desires. Without intentional reflection, it becomes easy to adopt ambitions that look impressive but feel empty. The discipline of questioning what truly matters acts as a filter, separating genuine aspirations from borrowed ones. This process is not about rejecting external influence entirely, but about consciously choosing what aligns with one's values. When individuals operate from this place of clarity, they experience a greater sense of ownership over their lives. Success becomes personal rather than performative, measured by internal satisfaction rather than external applause. The second transformative question, examining the story we tell ourselves, demands even deeper introspection. Human beings naturally seek meaning, and the mind creates narratives to make sense of experiences. However, many of these narratives are formed unconsciously during moments of fear, failure, or emotional vulnerability. Over time, they solidify into beliefs that shape identity and behavior. A person who repeatedly tells themselves they are not capable, not worthy, or not meant for success will unconsciously act in ways that reinforce those beliefs. This self-reinforcing loop is powerful, yet it often goes unnoticed. By questioning the story we tell ourselves, we interrupt this cycle. Awareness becomes the first step toward transformation, allowing us to observe our thoughts rather than be controlled by them. Once awareness is established, choice becomes possible. Not every thought deserves belief, and not every internal narrative reflects reality. Many stories are interpretations, not facts. They are influenced by past experiences, emotional states, and limited perspectives. When we learn to separate facts from interpretations, we regain control over our internal world. This does not mean denying challenges or difficulties. Rather, it means choosing interpretations that empower rather than diminish us. Reframing internal narratives fosters resilience, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. It allows individuals to view setbacks as feedback, failures as learning opportunities, and uncertainty as a space for growth rather than fear. The power of rewriting one's internal story lies in consistency. A single moment of insight is not enough to dismantle years of conditioned thinking. Transformation occurs through repetition and reinforcement. Each time a limiting belief surfaces, the conscious act of questioning it weakens its hold. Gradually, new narratives take root, stories of capability, growth, and possibility. These narratives influence behavior in subtle but profound ways, shaping how individuals communicate, take risks, and pursue opportunities. Over time, internal confidence replaces self-doubt, not because circumstances have changed, but because perception has evolved. As clarity and self-awareness deepen, the need for action becomes unavoidable. Insight without movement leads to stagnation, and understanding without application creates frustration. This is where the third transformative question becomes essential. By asking what action can be taken right now, we shift from contemplation to execution. This question grounds us in the present moment. Eliminating excuses rooted in perfectionism or fear reframes progress as a series of intentional steps rather than an overwhelming leap. Action builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Even small actions, when taken consistently, create measurable change over time. The emphasis on immediate action also strengthens personal accountability. It removes reliance on motivation, which is often inconsistent, and replaces it with discipline and intention. By focusing on what can be done now, individuals reclaim control over their circumstances. This mindset fosters adaptability, encouraging proactive responses to challenges rather than passive waiting. Over time, this approach cultivates a habit of progress, reinforcing the belief that change is not only possible but achievable through deliberate effort. Together, these questions form a dynamic cycle. Clarity informs awareness, awareness reshapes perception, and perception drives action. This cycle repeats, refining itself with each iteration. Life becomes less about reacting to events and more about consciously designing experiences. Challenges still arise, but they are met with intention rather than overwhelm. Success becomes sustainable because it is rooted in alignment rather than pressure. Fulfillment becomes attainable because actions are guided by purpose rather than impulse. When these three transformative questions are applied consistently, their impact extends far beyond internal reflection and begins to reshape real-life experiences. In professional life, clarity around what truly matters helps individuals define success on their own terms. Many people pursue careers driven by security, status, or external validation, only to find themselves unfulfilled despite apparent achievement. By aligning career decisions with core values, work becomes more than a means of survival. It becomes an expression of purpose. This alignment enhances motivation, creativity, and resilience, enabling individuals to navigate challenges with greater confidence and adaptability. Over time, career growth becomes intentional rather than accidental, guided by long-term vision instead of short-term pressure. In relationships, the influence of these questions is equally profound. Understanding what truly matters fosters healthier boundaries and deeper connections. Individuals become more aware of which relationships support growth and which drain emotional energy. By examining internal narratives, people recognize how past experiences shape expectations, fears, and communication patterns. This awareness allows for more honest dialogue, empathy, and mutual respect. When actions align with values, relationships evolve into partnerships built on authenticity rather than obligation. Over time, emotional intelligence strengthens, conflicts become opportunities for understanding, and trust deepens through consistent, intentional behavior. Over time, the integration of these questions creates a lifestyle of intentional living. Reflection becomes a habit, not an occasional exercise. Awareness becomes second nature, guiding emotional responses and thought patterns. Action becomes deliberate, reinforcing progress through consistent effort. This integration transforms ambition into discipline and vision into execution. Life's challenges no longer feel like obstacles but like feedback, offering insight into what needs adjustment or refinement. This mindset fosters continuous learning and adaptability, essential qualities in an ever-changing world. Ultimately, the power of these three transformative questions lies in their simplicity and universality. They require no special tools, resources, or circumstances, only honesty and commitment. Their effectiveness does not depend on intelligence, background, or privilege, but on willingness to engage in self-examination and purposeful action. When embraced fully, these questions redefine how individuals experience life, shifting focus from control over outcomes to mastery over choices. Through this shift, life becomes not something that happens to us, but something we actively shape with clarity, intention, and purpose. Mindset conditioning plays a pivotal role in sustaining this process. The human mind is shaped by repetition, environment, and emotional association. By repeatedly engaging with these questions, individuals condition their minds to prioritize growth, accountability, and purpose. This conditioning shifts focus away from fear-based thinking and toward opportunity-based perception. Instead of asking why something cannot be done, the mind begins to ask how it can be approached differently. This shift enhances problem-solving ability, creativity, and resilience, empowering individuals to navigate complexity with confidence. Another essential aspect of long-term change is patience. Many abandon transformation efforts because results do not appear immediately. However, internal change often precedes visible outcomes. The refinement of values, narratives, and actions creates a foundation upon which external success is built. Trusting this process requires faith in incremental progress and commitment to consistency. Those who persist through this phase often experience breakthroughs, not because circumstances suddenly improve, but because their capacity to respond has expanded. This expanded capacity becomes the true measure of growth. As transformation deepens, individuals begin to experience a sense of coherence between their inner and outer worlds. Thoughts align with actions, and actions reflect values. This coherence reduces internal conflict and emotional exhaustion, freeing mental energy for creativity and innovation. Life becomes less about managing stress and more about channeling energy effectively. This state of alignment enhances overall well-being, contributing to improved focus, stronger relationships, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Over time, this process reshapes not only personal outcomes but also influence. Individuals who live with clarity, awareness, and intention naturally inspire others. Their presence communicates stability, purpose, and confidence without the need for persuasion. Leadership emerges organically, rooted in example rather than authority. This influence extends into professional environments, families, and communities, creating a ripple effect of intentional living. The transformative power of these questions thus transcends individual change, contributing to collective growth and understanding. Ultimately, the integration of these practices transforms life into a continuous journey of refinement rather than a pursuit of perfection. Growth becomes sustainable because it is grounded in self-awareness and purposeful action. Challenges are met with curiosity instead of resistance, and success is measured by alignment rather than comparison. Through this lens, life is no longer a series of reactions, but a deliberate expression of values, choices, and vision, shaped daily by the questions we choose to ask. Another critical challenge lies in managing expectations. Many people associate transformation with dramatic, immediate results, overlooking the importance of gradual progress. When expectations are unrealistic, disappointment follows, leading to discouragement and abandonment of effort. Reframing success as consistency rather than speed fosters sustainability. Each aligned action, no matter how small, becomes a victory that reinforces commitment. This perspective nurtures patience and perseverance, essential qualities for long-term growth. External influences can also intensify resistance. Opinions, criticism, and comparison often reintroduce doubt, especially during early stages of change. Without strong internal clarity, individuals may revert to familiar patterns to regain approval or avoid conflict. Anchoring decisions in personal values provides stability amid external noise. As confidence in one's internal compass grows, reliance on validation diminishes. This autonomy strengthens self-trust and reinforces the ability to stay aligned with purpose, even in the face of opposition. Overcoming resistance ultimately requires compassion rather than force. Harsh self-judgment often amplifies fear and reinforces avoidance. By approaching challenges with curiosity and understanding, individuals create a supportive internal environment for growth. This compassionate approach encourages reflection instead of repression, fostering emotional balance and sustained motivation. Progress becomes a collaborative process between intention and acceptance, reducing burnout and increasing long-term commitment. As resistance is navigated and momentum sustained, transformation becomes integrated rather than effortful. New behaviors evolve into habits, and new narratives replace old limitations. Identity shifts from one defined by fear and hesitation to one grounded in clarity and action. This shift marks a turning point where growth feels natural rather than forced. Life begins to flow with greater ease, not because challenges disappear, but because the capacity to meet them has expanded. As transformation progresses, it begins to move beyond habits and behaviors and settles into something deeper: identity. Identity is the lens through which individuals interpret their experiences, evaluate their choices, and define what they believe is possible. For many, identity is shaped unconsciously by past conditioning, social roles, and repeated outcomes. When individuals consistently engage with the three transformative questions, this lens begins to shift. They no longer see themselves as passive recipients of circumstance, but as active architects of their lives. This identity shift is subtle yet profound, influencing confidence, ambition, and emotional stability at a foundational level. A transformed identity is built through evidence rather than affirmation alone. Each time an individual acts in alignment with what truly matters, challenges a limiting narrative, and follows through with purposeful action, They reinforce a new self-concept. Over time, these repeated choices accumulate into a sense of self-trust. This trust becomes the foundation for long-term vision, allowing individuals to think beyond immediate outcomes and consider the broader direction of their lives. Vision evolves from vague aspiration into a clear, guiding framework that informs decisions across years rather than moments. Long-term vision is not about rigid planning, but about intentional direction. It provides flexibility without losing focus. Individuals with a strong internal compass can adapt to change without losing alignment, adjusting strategies while remaining true to core values. This adaptability is essential in a world defined by uncertainty and rapid change. By regularly revisiting what truly matters, individuals refine their vision as they grow, ensuring that progress remains meaningful rather than mechanical. Life becomes a process of deliberate evolution rather than reactive adjustment. At this stage, the third question, focused on aligned action, takes on a broader scope. Actions are no longer isolated efforts but strategic steps toward a larger purpose. Daily choices are evaluated not only by immediate results but by their contribution to long-term integrity and growth. This perspective fosters patience and discipline, allowing individuals to delay gratification in service of meaningful outcomes. The ability to think long-term while acting consistently in the present becomes a defining characteristic of mature personal mastery. Sustaining transformation over a lifetime requires an understanding that growth is not linear. Life unfolds in seasons, each presenting its own challenges, opportunities, and lessons. Periods of expansion are often followed by moments of uncertainty or recalibration. This natural rhythm does not signify regression but refinement. By continually returning to the three transformative questions, individuals maintain alignment through change. These questions act as a stabilizing framework, allowing reflection during transitions and clarity during moments of doubt. Rather than resisting change, individuals learn to navigate it with awareness and intention. Major life transitions, whether related to career, relationships, identity, or purpose, often test internal alignment. During such times, external structures may shift, but internal clarity becomes even more essential. Asking what truly matters provides grounding when familiar roles dissolve. Examining internal narratives prevents fear from dictating decisions during uncertainty. Identifying purposeful action restores momentum when direction feels unclear. Through this process, transitions become opportunities for renewal rather than sources of paralysis. Individuals emerge not unchanged, but more refined, resilient, and aligned with their evolving purpose. Over decades, the consistent application of these questions fosters wisdom. Wisdom differs from knowledge in that it is embodied rather than accumulated. It is reflected in calm decision-making, emotional balance, and the ability to prioritize meaning over urgency. Individuals who cultivate this wisdom experience life with depth rather than haste. They learn to invest energy selectively, protect what truly matters, and release what no longer serves growth. This discernment becomes one of the most valuable outcomes of intentional living. At its core, the power of these three questions lies not in their complexity but in their honesty. They demand presence, courage, and responsibility. They invite individuals to confront themselves without illusion and to act without delay. This level of engagement transforms life from a series of reactions into a deliberate expression of values and purpose. Over time, individuals experience a profound sense of coherence, where thoughts, actions, and identity align naturally. Fulfillment becomes less dependent on outcomes and more rooted in integrity. Ultimately, transformation is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully oneself. The journey shaped by these questions is not one of perfection, but of authenticity. Each day offers the opportunity to realign, reassess, and recommit. Through this ongoing process, life becomes a living reflection of intention rather than circumstance. Challenges are met with clarity. Success is experienced with humility, and purpose is lived rather than pursued. In this way, the questions that began as tools for change evolve into principles for living. They do not promise an easy life, but they offer a meaningful one. A life guided by awareness, grounded in values, and propelled by purposeful action. A life shaped not by chance, but by choice. And it is within these choices, made daily, deliberately, and consistently, that true transformation is realized.